Hello everybody, boys and girls, everybody, that means everybody. Welcome back to Simulator Heaven. I am back in AeroflyFS. Somebody left me a comment saying, hey, how about more AeroflyFS? And it made me think. I haven't played this game for a while, and it made me think that I should maybe see if the game has changed or if anything has happened with the game since I last played it. Or I think as well to get my updated opinions on the game, because I think when I first played it I didn't have that much experience of flight sims. But I've played quite a bit of X-Plane now, especially a little bit of FSX, not much. So yeah, thought it might be a good opportunity to see how I feel about this game now. I'm flying the Robin DR400 now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 aircraft for this game, for this flight sim. This is one thing some people are not that keen on. I believe it's really hard for you to mod this game. You can't add like other vehicles easily, like other aircraft obviously, I mean. So there's some people that don't really like the fact there's only a limited amount of airplanes and stuff, because obviously with other flight sims you often are able to add a lot of custom airplanes that will mean you have hundreds of airplanes or like a lot of airplanes. So yeah, there are some people that don't like that. The Robin DR400 that I'm flying is a single engine low wing airplane with a wooden frame based on the DR300 series. The DR400 is in production since 1972. The very popular plane is widely used in clubs for glider towing and recreational flying. Anyway, I don't think I've done a video on this plane, so I thought I'd fly it. Whoops, loading again. Now actually, I think that the modelling in this game, the exterior modelling is very good. The interior modelling is also very good in my opinion. I mean, if you get up close to stuff, look at that. That is pretty damn high res, which I think is awesome. And not only that, you can look around the whole of the cabin. Looks pretty nice to me. Good job. I mean, yeah, so that's good. And then, but the thing that a lot of people don't like, or certainly a lot of more regular sim flyers, sim pilots I should say, they don't like the fact that you cannot interact with any of the things here. A lot of the instruments work obviously, but for example the GPS, I cannot really interact with it. I can't use it, I can't use the radio. So it's there, but you can't interact with anything, and some people, they really don't like that. Yeah, so that's one thing. If you're trying to find a flight sim that's mega realistic, then maybe this is not the game for you. What, you know, mega realistic in terms of you can interact with everything is what I mean really. However, it does look very nice, and like I said, all the gauges do work as far as I know, or certainly all the main gauges do, so that's good. So without further ado, let's see if we can take off in this thing. We are in a place called Burfeld. So basically this game, if you haven't seen my previous videos, is based in Switzerland. So you get all of the scenery is in Switzerland, like the game is based in Switzerland, and obviously you cannot add any more stuff, if you know what I mean. Switzerland is the only place you can fly in this game, if you know what I mean. And yeah, why am I hearing noises? I think I'm alright. Yeah. Now, one thing I do really like about this game, which I noticed straight away when I am coming from X-Plane, the wind in this game is modelled really good, and I think I know why. I have my flaps on full. There you go. I think I know why I was kind of struggling there. I accidentally had left my flaps on full from when I was playing the game earlier, and after doing a landing. Yeah, okay, so sorry about that. I am a bit of a fail pilot, to be honest. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, the wind in this game is modelled really well. And also the handling of the airplane. Obviously, I've never flown an airplane, but I would imagine this is very realistic of how a airplane would move through the air and how it would be buffeted through the air. I'm pretty sure with X-Plane you're able to add something like a plugin or a mod or something, or maybe even play with the settings to get the wind in that game to also be realistic. But I've never been able, or I've never really gotten around to doing that. So I would say that in the default setting, this game feels really good for like the wind and how the aircraft handles. Certainly if you compare it with X-Plane, it just feels really nice to me. Like if you go over like the crest of a hill, you actually feel the buffeting of the wind on the airplane, which is really cool. So yeah, so that is definitely a major plus for this game. Let's lower our throttle a tad. We're kind of overspeeding a bit, but hey. So yeah, so I would say that this is a really good sim game if you are looking for visual flying. I believe they call it VFR, is it? Which basically means that you fly an aircraft using visual cues more than instruments, because obviously the GPS is not working, so how can you fly? Like, how can you navigate with instruments? But I think they've set this game up really well for that kind of visual flying, because first of all, as you can see, you have the names of all of the places that you fly past. Like all of the places on the map, they have a name on them, as you can see, which I think is great because it really helps you to familiarize yourself with the setting and to remember where everything is. And not only that, you can probably see there's a HUD at the top of the screen, and that HUD is awesome for flying outside of the cockpit, because you know, if I'm flying in this view, I can fly in this view to have a look at the scenery, and I can still see all of the major instruments. You know, I think that's really good for like when you're flying around and enjoying scenery, right? Not only that, you can see it has nearest airports. It has nearest airports, so what that means is it's very easy for you just to kind of fly in the game without really thinking. You can basically spawn into the game and think, okay, I want to just fly off. So you take off, then you can use the nearest airports. So for example, you could just fly randomly wherever you wanted for a few hours, and then you could still, by looking at nearest airports, see obviously where is a place you can land. So I think that makes this game a really good game for visual flying, for like someone who just wants to fly around this kind of scenery in Switzerland, you know, and they're not completely bothered if they are doing that with uber realistic, I'm gonna manipulate everything in my cockpit kind of thing. Now the scenery is photorealistic, so when you get very close to it, it often doesn't look that great. They have added some 3D in some areas, but if you have an area like this, you see, which is not 3D, if you get very close, it's obviously very flat. I mean, that's an issue with photo scenery, but when you get up high, it looks amazing, really amazing. And in general, the graphics in this game are really good, and the frame rate is amazing. Like, I have really good frame rates in this game, which is pretty impressive, really. So yeah, so you know, I actually like this game. It kind of makes a bit of a change from flying X-Plane all of the time. When you get into this game, kind of makes a bit of a change, but you still get to fly around. There's no real aim in this game. You can do some achievements and stuff and like challenges, but I think they're mostly like acrobatic challenges and a few other things, but there's no real meaning, like there's no real kind of missions. I mean, I would say in general, this game is kind of better than, for example, Microsoft Flight, for example. But I would say that the one thing that Microsoft Flight has got over this is a little bit more structure. I mean, Microsoft Flight is the same as this. It's very hard for you to mod that game, and you only have a limited amount of aircraft, and some of those aircraft you can't even go into the cockpit. So I would say in general this game is better than Microsoft Flight, but like I said, there's no real structure. So if you're kind of looking for loads of missions, then maybe you should look at Microsoft Flight. Yeah, I mean, the problem is that, I mean, obviously the reason I'm talking about a game like Microsoft Flight is because this is a game which I think costs about $30 US on Steam, and obviously it's a complete package that you get for that price. You don't have to buy any extra things. So that's why I'm comparing it with Microsoft Flight, because if you want to play X-Plane, like X-Plane on its own, with you know, it's more expensive, and you're kind of expected in X-Plane, or it's, you know, usually I would say what people usually do in X-Plane is they buy lots of like add-on scenery and things like that, which cost a lot more. It's the same in Microsoft Flight Simulator X and all that. So that's why I would compare this to something like Microsoft Flight. So yeah, but for what it is, I think it's really good. This game, I believe, is not really being supported anymore. I think their original plan was to have some DLC for the game that you'd pay for, a bit like they did in Microsoft Flight. They never really got around to that, which is a shame. I know when you look at the forums, there are some people who was kind of asking for more content, and they're actually saying they would actually pay for that content, blah blah blah. So maybe that is one area that they didn't do too well in. But however, there is a sequel that is coming for this game. Apparently, I heard at the start of this year, on January, February, that they are working on a sequel for this game. So that's good, and hopefully they will kind of improve the Aerofly series. I mean, if you're going to be paying the full $30 for this game, I would maybe do some research on the game, you know, and be aware that possibly it's not going to be supported anymore in terms of adding new features. This is basically what you're going to get for $30. You might be able to find it on a Steam sale, something like that, maybe. I mean, I think for $30 it's worth it, because and this is going to be a really bad landing, if I even land at all. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. And I'm going out. Come on. Oops. Let's take off again. Wow. See, actually, this game, because of the whole wind stuff, this game is a really good way of practicing landings, you know? I mean, certainly for me, I mean, I've just recently come back to flight sims like X-Plane again. I've started to play it again a bit more. I'm a bit out of practice, and this is a great game for like practicing those kind of landings. I mean, I realised that time I did fail, because you're supposed to line yourself up with a runway like in advance and slow the aircraft down. I was trying to do that quick, didn't work. I suppose in a way it's quite realistic that it didn't work, I suppose, isn't it? Here we go, let's try again. No? Oh, come on. I did line myself up a bit earlier. Now the wind is crazy, look. The wind is pretty insane. And I'm all over the place, and that was pretty awful. Okay, so I've just sort of challenged myself. Do a video in Aerofly where I don't fail at landing. How about that? It might be hard. But yeah, I mean, it goes to show that the wind in this game and everything, it's a really good way of practicing flight sims. I mean, I am by no means a hardcore flight sim kind of guy, so maybe I'm easier on these kind of things. I know that there's going to be some that argue with me that it's not realistic, but for me, I enjoy this game. I kind of look at it as a different experience to X-Plane, a slightly more casual version. You know, I mean, it is great fun just to load up this game, go flying, fly randomly wherever you want to go. You know, so I do enjoy this game, and like I said, for the money that you pay, I think it is certainly worth it, and it's really good news that they're making a sequel. It's a shame they didn't add any extra DLC, but it's good that they're making a sequel. Yeah, so there you go. If you have any specific questions, I mean, obviously I've tried to cover most of the things that I can in the game, but of course there are probably some things I've missed talking about. I mean, I am using my Cytec X52 rudder and joystick, and what do you call that thing? I don't know, the thing that you use the power for. Yeah, I am using that in the game. It works fine, it sets up fine. So yeah, any other questions, please let me know in the comment section below. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.